أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Lesson number 131, Surah Ibrahim, ayah number 35 to 52. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ, and mention when Ibrahim alayhi salam said, Rabbi, O my Lord, اجعل هذا البلد آمنا. My Lord, make this city secure. وَجُنُبْنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ, and keep me and my sons away from worshipping idols. This and the following ayat, they refer to Ibrahim alayhi salam's settlement of his son Ismail alayhi salam at Makkah. That how Ibrahim alayhi salam settled his son Ismail alayhi salam at Makkah with his mother, whose name was Hajar. After the flood, at the time of Nuh alayhi salam, what happened? Shirk was completely wiped off. It was completely finished. But we saw that very soon shirk started again amongst people. Which is why the people of Ad, the people of Thamud, even they were destroyed. Whereas they were the descendants of who? Of the people of Nuh alayhi salam. And the survivors of the flood were only those people who believed in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we see that the shirk was completely eliminated, but it rose again. It grew again. And it continued until the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and also afterwards, also in surrounding areas. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to establish Tawheed. Because up until now, shirk was being passed down from one generation to the next. The people, their religion was of shirk. Their government was also with shirk. Their practices, their traditions, everything was based on shirk. And if you think about it, for shirk, people have had no evidence whatsoever. Which is why whenever people are asked why they worship idols, why they worship others besides Allah, what is their response? That this is what we found our parents doing. This is what people have always done. Our ancestors, this is what they used to practice. In Surah Zukhruf, ayah 22, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَلْ قَالُوا إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا عَلَىٰ أُمَّةٍ وَإِنَّا عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. That they say, indeed we found our forefathers upon a religion, and we are in their footsteps guided. This is what we do. We found our forefathers doing this, and we are doing the exact same thing. So for shirk, there is absolutely no evidence. Except that people have practiced shirk, and it has been passed down from one generation to the next. But on the other hand, for Tawheed, there is evidence. Where? In the creation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. The heavens and the earth. Similarly, in the revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent, there is evidence of Tawheed. And also in certain places, certain sites, certain places, what are they? Evidence of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these places at the top is what? The Kaaba, the Baytullah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had Ibrahim alayhi salam settle his son and wife in Mecca, so that there is a nation that believes in monotheism and practices that as well, who worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exclusively. Because where there are so many cities, where there are so many people, where people are worshipping idols, where people are polytheists, there must be a place where people are only worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Makkah was established as what? As evidence for Tawheed. As a place where people can refer to and say that yes, people have always worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember that Adam alayhi salam also, he constructed the Kaaba, and then after the flood, the Kaaba was reconstructed, and Ibrahim alayhi salam also reconstructed the Kaaba. But the construction of the Kaaba was not the only thing. People had to live there, because only then others would come over there. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he did not just go and build the Kaaba. What did he do? He settled his son over there. He made him live over there, so that the city becomes populated with who? Those who worship Allah alone. The city is well known for what? For the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he brought his wife Hajar and his son Ismail. And Ismail a.s. at that time, he was only an infant. And he brought them both to the barren valley of Makkah. There was no water, there were no plants, there were no people, there were no birds, there was nothing. Nothing at all. A barren, dry valley, which was extremely hot. This is where Ibrahim a.s. brought his wife and son. And he left them there, and after some time, he returned. And when Ismail a.s. was older, when he was 13 years old, then what did Ibrahim a.s. do? He constructed the Kaaba with him. So the first time that he brought his wife and son over here, when he was leaving, he made this dua. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ اجْعَلْ هَذَا الْبَلَدَ آمِنًا وَاجْنُبْنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامَ. And according to others, Ibrahim a.s. made this dua when he returned and he constructed the Kaaba with Ismail a.s. So what are the two opinions? First of all, he made this dua when he came the first time and then he was leaving. And secondly, when he came back, when he returned, constructed the Kaaba with his son, and then he made this dua upon the completion of the construction. Now remember, this surah is a Makki surah, and it was revealed at the time when there was a lot of opposition. And the mushrikeen of Makkah, they're being reminded through this of the way of Ibrahim a.s. And they're being reminded of the history of the city. That this shirk that you are committing over here, it has no proof, it has no evidence. Because Makkah was established exclusively for what? For the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ, and recall when Ibrahim a.s. said, meaning when he prayed. What did he say? That Rabbi, O my Lord, اجعل هذا البلد, make this city. Which city? The city of Makkah, make it aminan, peaceful. Amin is one that has aman in it, one that is full of peace. So make the city peaceful and secure. Why did he make this dua? Because think about it, he was going to leave his son and his wife. And only if that city is secure and peaceful, then his family would be safe. So he prays to Allah that make the city amin, peaceful, secure, safe. Wajnubni, and save me, keep me away. Ujnubni from the root letters, Jim Nun Ba from the word jamb, which is used for side. And janaba is to stay away from something, to keep away from something. So ujnubni, keep me away, wabaniya, and my sons. Meaning my descendants. Because a person's descendants, how are they recognized? Through the sons. Because it's the man who takes the lineage forward. So wajnubni wa baniya, keep me and my sons away from what? An na'bud al-asnam, that we worship idols. Keep us safe from worship idols. Keep us away from it. Baniya is actually banini. It's actually banin and then ya at the end. Banin is a plural of ibn. And then banin and ya mutakallim is changed into baniya, my sons. So keep us away from the worship of idols. Because we have come here to worship you alone. And this prayer of Ibrahim a.s., it was granted. Makkah was made a secure city. It was made a city which is amin, which has aman in it. In the Quran we read, أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا جَعَلْنَا حَرَمًا آمِنًا. Have they not seen that we have made Makkah a secure sanctuary? وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. Which is why we see that fasad and corruption of any sort is not allowed in the city of Makkah. Till today, it's not permissible. The Prophet ﷺ said at the conquest of Makkah that beware, Allah made this town a sanctuary when He created the heavens and the earth. It is supposed to be a city that is safe and secure from when? From the day that the heavens and the earth were created. And it is sacred by Allah's decree up until the day of resurrection. From the beginning of time till the end. This city is supposed to be safe and secure. And he said, fighting in Makkah was not permitted for anyone before me, and it was made legal for me for only a few hours or so on that day. When? When the Prophet ﷺ conquered Makkah. No doubt, it is at this moment a sanctuary by Allah's decree until the day of resurrection. So it is not allowed to uproot its thorny shrubs, to hunt its game, to pick up its lost objects, except by announcing it, or to uproot its trees. It's not allowed to even uproot the trees of Makkah. Abbas, the Prophet ﷺ's uncle, he said, except the izkhir grass. Izkhir is said to be lemongrass, and the people of Makkah, they used to use it. So he said, except the lemongrass, O Allah's Messenger, as they use it in their houses and their graves. So the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, except for this particular grass, this you can uproot, but otherwise you cannot cut out any trees, any grass, anything from this land. Because this place is supposed to be a place of aman. Ibrahim a.s. prayed for aman, and look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted this dua, He fulfilled it. And the second thing that Ibrahim a.s. prays for over here is that keep us away from the worship of idols. Because we have come here to worship you alone. We have established this house for your worship alone. So keep us away from the worship of idols. Rabbi, O my Lord, innahunna, indeed they, meaning indeed the idols. Adlalna, they have led astray. Kathiran minan nas, many amongst people. Many amongst people have been misled by idols. Now a person might say that idols are inanimate objects. How can they mislead others? Again, the attraction that is in the idols, it diverts people from the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So the idols have become a cause of misleading many people. They are a cause of misleading many people. People have been going towards Allah. They should have been worshipping Allah alone. But when they saw the idols, they got lost in them. So these idols, they have been a cause of misguidance for many amongst mankind. فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي, so whoever follows me, meaning any person who follows me in what? In Tawheed, in worshipping Allah alone, فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي, then indeed he is from me, meaning he is from my religion, he belongs to my community. وَمَنْ عَصَانِي, and whoever disobeys me, meaning whoever does shirk, فَإِنَّكَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, then indeed you are forgiving and you're also merciful. If you notice over here, Ibrahim a.s. does not say that those people who disobey me, those people who do shirk, punish them, curse them. What does he say? فَإِنَّكَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, indeed you are forgiving and merciful. This was the compassion and well-wishing that Ibrahim a.s. had towards the people. He did not pray against them. And we see that Isa a.s., he will also make a similar supplication on the Day of Judgment. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 118, what do we learn? He will say, إِن تُعَذِّبْهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ عِبَادُكَ. If you punish them, they're your servants. You have the right to do so. وَإِن تَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ, but if you forgive them, فَإِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ, then indeed it is you who is the exalted in might, and you are the wise. So we see that Ibrahim a.s., what does he do over here? He's making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he says that those people who follow me, they're of my ummah, and the people who don't, then you are forgiving and merciful. This shows to us that we should also have the same kind of well-wishing towards who? Towards people. Because until we wish well for them, we cannot convey the message to them. This deen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent, it has not come to trouble people. It has not come to bring the curse of Allah upon them. But rather it has come to take the people out of darkness into the light. And any person who calls people to Allah, what should he do? He should be kind and gentle towards them. He should worry about their hereafter. He should be concerned about that. Not that he's always threatening them. Rabbana, O our Lord, inni, indeed I, askantu, I have settled, from the root letter Sin, Kaf, Noon, sakana, maskan, home. So I have settled min zurriyati, from my children. Meaning some of my children, I have made them to settle where? Biwadin, in a valley that is غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ, that does not produce any cultivation. غَيْرِ, other than, ذِي زَرْعٍ, possessor of plants, of cultivation, of crop. So this land, this valley does not produce any plants. And I have made some of my children settle over here. Because his son Ismail was in Makkah. And his other son Ishaq was where? In Ash-Sham. So, not all my children, but some of them. And Wadin is from the root letters. Waw dal ya, it's a singular of Awdiyah. Awdiyah. Awdiyah is valleys. And Wadin is its singular form. This is how you write it. So, I have made them to settle in an uncultivated valley, which is the city of Makkah. Why is it described as غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ? Because nothing grows over there. Hardly anything grows over there. Hardly. But I have made them to settle over here because where are they? This place is عند, near Baytika, your house, al-Muharram, the sacred. Your sacred house, which is Kaaba. So I have brought them here to this uncultivated valley so that they are near your sacred house. Why have I brought them here? Rabbana, O our Lord, لِيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ, so that they establish the salah. I have made them settle in this place so that they establish the salah. Where? In this sacred house. فَجْعَلْ, so you make أَفْئِدَةً مِنَ النَّاسِ, hearts from among people, meaning some hearts, meaning some people. أَفْئِدَة is a plural of fu'ad, which is heart. So أَفْئِدَةً مِنَ النَّاسِ, meaning أَفْئِدَةً مِنْ أَفْئِدَةِ النَّاسِ. So make some hearts of people تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ, incline towards them. Because they are living in a place that is completely barren, that is not attractive at all. Generally, people are attracted by what? By the beauty of a particular land. There is a waterfall, or it's extremely green, or the land is very good, you can grow a lot over there. But this land, it's uncultivated. You cannot cultivate anything on it. There is nothing over here. So how are people going to come? Nobody's going to be interested in this particular land. So my children who are living over here, make them so good that the hearts of people are inclined towards them. Because people are not going to come for this land, but they will come for my children. Like for example, there are certain places where the climate is extremely harsh. Extremely harsh, and you wonder sometimes, why do people live here? Don't you wonder? Like for example, sometimes in certain areas where it goes to minus 40, minus 50, you're like, why do people live here? I mean, is there less land in the world? Out of all places, why do they choose to live here? Why? Because of some work, because of some business, because of some mine, because of some work that's going on over there, which brings them, despite the harsh climate, they will come and live over there. They will come and settle over there. So this land has nothing. So my children who are living over here, make the hearts of people inclined towards them. Tahwi is from the root letters hawawiyah. Hawa. And hawa literally is to fall. What does it mean? To fall. And huwi is from the same root, hawawiyah. The word huwi is nuzul min al-ulu. It is to descend from a height. To descend from a height. And then this word is also used for to incline towards someone with love, with fondness. You know how they say fall in love? So literally fall in love. So make the hearts of people incline towards them, fall in love towards them. And for the love of my children, people will come over here. When they will come over here, they will find out about the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. وَارْزُقْهُمْ, and provide them مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ, from the fruits, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَشْكُرُونَ, so that they are grateful. We see over here that Ibrahim a.s. mentions the purpose behind why he settled his descendants in Makkah. And what is that purpose? لِيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ. I have settled my children over here near your sacred house. Why? لِيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ, so that they can establish the salah. What does it show to us? That when a person lives close to the masjid, then it's easier for him to establish the salah. It's easier for him to pray in the masjid. Yes, definitely if a person lives far and he comes for the salah, he will get more reward. Yes, that is understood. However, when a person lives closer to the masjid, it's much easier for him. Then we also see over here that Ibrahim a.s., he made this dua when he returned to Makkah to build the Kaaba. And this, if we take the other opinion for the first dua that he made that dua when he settled his family over there, when he left Hajar and Ismail, and when he was leaving, then he made that dua. So when he returned and he built the Kaaba, then he made this dua. So he made this dua when? When he returned and he built the Kaaba with his son. Now, upon the completion of construction of the Kaaba, he prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you think about it, this house that he builds, which house is it? Is it so that he can live over there with his family? Is it so that he can have his dream house on a big lot, away from people? No, this is so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worshipped over there. Today, one of our greatest worries is what? Making our own house. Buying our own house. People hardly graduate and what are they thinking about? How I'm going to make enough money to be able to afford a house. To be able to pay off a house. This is what concerns so many people today. Every other Muslim is concerned with this issue. My house. I don't own a house. I don't own a house. But we see that Ibrahim a.s., he never made a house for himself. We see him, he's always traveling, going from one place to the other, between Asham and Makkah. And when he comes to Makkah, what house does he build? A house for himself? No. The house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the fact is that when you give importance to the house of Allah, more than the importance that you give to your house, that shows the commitment that you have for the deen. Many times, what is it that prevents people from coming to the masjid? What is it that prevents people from volunteering at the masjid? Teaching children at the masjid? I'm too busy at my house. I have to clean, I have to cook, I have to look after, I have to do this, I have to do that. So much of our time and our energy is spent in maintaining our houses. At the cost of what? Ignoring the house of Allah. Sometimes I'm amazed when you go to the washrooms, the way people leave the toilet seats wet and the counters wet. Would you ever do that in your own house? The way that people leave shoes just lying around, would you ever do that in your own house? People are so concerned about how their houses are looking. They're supposed to be clean. Everything is supposed to be in order. But when it comes to the masjid, we don't give any priority to that. But Ibrahim a.s., he builds the house of Allah so that people can come and worship over there. And he also mentions why he left his wife and son in Makkah, so that they can establish the salah. Many times we see that husbands, men, they're living away from their wives and their children. Why? For work, to make money. But we see that Ibrahim a.s., he is away from his wife and his son for the sake of work. For the sake of work of Allah. He is working for the deen. That's why he's away from his wife and his son. And we also see that Ibrahim a.s., he prays that the hearts of people are inclined towards his descendants. Now does this mean that he is looking for self-glorification through deen? He wants to be glorified through deen? That through the deen his children become famous? Is that what his goal is? No. The reason why he prays that the hearts of people be inclined towards his children is because there was nothing really special about that land. There was nothing really special about that land. And the only thing that would attract people to come over there was who? The only thing that would attract people to come to Makkah was what? The land or the people? The people. And we see this is something very important. Because we see that there are some buildings which are apparently very glamorous, they're very decorated, such as cathedrals, such as temples. But when you go over there, mostly these buildings are empty. You will only find them full when? When perhaps there's a wedding or perhaps there's a service or, on certain occasions you will find them full. But generally you will find them empty. But the masajid of Allah, you might not find them to be that beautiful. to be that well decorated. Although now a lot of emphasis is put on decorating the masjid, which is not something that is recommended. Because once something was placed before the Prophet ﷺ which was patterned while he was praying, and he asked for it to be removed because he said it distracted my salah. So now that we have all golden lights and all of these things all over the masjid, how are we meant to have khushu' in our salah? But anyway, if you compare a masjid with some other building, a masjid is generally very plain, very simple. But what do you have in the masjid? What do you have in the masjid? People, worshippers. Now, if those people are good, if they have good akhlaq, only then others are going to come. Isn't it so? But if the people of that masjid are not welcoming, if they don't have a good behavior, if they don't have good akhlaq, then what's going to happen? Are people going to come or not? They're not going to come. They won't be interested at all. So we see that the people that inhabit a place, the people that manage a building, the people that work in a building, who study in a building, they are the ones by whom other people either feel invited or they feel rejected. So we have to check ourselves that when we come to this place, how is our behavior? How is our behavior? Does our behavior welcome other people? Or is it that because of our behavior, when other people come, they say, never again I'm going over there. Never again I'm going over there because the washrooms are so filthy. Why can we not clean up? We don't clean the masjid. Our behavior, our attitude is not such that would invite people to come. Unfortunately, it is such attitude that is going to repulse people. We have to check ourselves. How are we maintaining the masjid? How are we behaving in this masjid? Are people invited or are they turned off? Recently I visited a school just to go and see what was in there. And I didn't make any appointment. I just walked in and I said, I'm interested. Can you please just show me around? And this lady was like, I'm not the supervisor over here. I'm just a teacher. But if you want, I can show you around quickly. I said, sure, go ahead. And she welcomed me in. And she took me around the entire building, all of the classrooms. And as I walked into each classroom, the teacher was there, the children were there. Nobody looked at me with that eye, who is this person? They never made an appointment. We were never told they're coming. And they told us, go inside, look how the children are studying, look at their books, look at their shelves, look at everything. And this was without an appointment. And I was thinking, if I walked into an Islamic institute, an Islamic organization, and I asked that, can I please look around? Can you please show me what services you have so that I know whether my needs can be fulfilled over here or I need to go elsewhere? I was thinking about where is it that I could go and I would find people who would welcome me with a smile. This is something that we need to take seriously, because the people who inhabit a place, either they welcome people or they reject them. Ibrahim a.s. makes this dua especially, that, O Allah, make the hearts of people incline towards them. This is something very important. And we need to play this role every single day very consciously. Ibrahim a.s. was commanded, as we learned earlier in Surah Al-Baqarah, that tahir, clean my house, لِلطَّائِفِينَ وَالْعَاكِفِينَ وَالرُّكَّعِ السُّجُودِ. Clean the masjid, clean the house of Allah. Because if you don't clean it, how are people going to come? So we need to be extremely careful. Another thing that we see in this ayah is that he prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that his descendants be provided with what? As-samarat. Now if you look at it, Ibrahim a.s. is concerned about the health of his children. Because think about it, Makkah is a barren valley. Nothing grows over there. Nothing grows over there. He doesn't say zar', he doesn't say dried fruit. What does he say? Produce. Because fresh produce, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, they are essential for good health. Very, very important. Very important. So we have to make sure that in our diet we include such things. Look, Ibrahim a.s. is praying for this. Ya Allah, where are they going to get this from? In this barren valley. You provide it for them. Secondly, another point of observation is that he is asking for something that is impossible. Because fruits, they do not grow in a desert. Isn't it? They don't grow in deserts. Where do they grow? Where do they grow? in perhaps rainforests, where it rains a lot, where the land is very fertile. So he is praying that something impossible be made possible. If you heard someone saying something like this in the middle of the desert, what would you think? There's something wrong. But we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled his dua. How? That when people from all over would come to Makkah, what would they bring with them? What would they bring with them? Fresh produce. And we see that in Makkah, you don't just find fruits of a particular area, but you find fruits of different areas. Different areas. From all over, they come over there. This might not be that strange for us because we live in places where fruit and vegetables are brought in from all over the world every day. But this has been happening since the very beginning in the city of Makkah. What's the lesson in this for us? The lesson is that when we do something for the deen, we need to have a high goal. We need to have a vision. What's our problem generally? We don't have a high goal. We depend on ourselves. We depend on people. We depend on money. Because of which we set very low goals. Because of which sometimes we reduce our work. We reduce our efforts, thinking we are not capable to do this. But what do we see over here? That you have to start the work and Allah is your provider. You have to take the initiative and Allah will complete your work for you. Ibrahim a.s. brings his son to a place where there is no person, where nothing grows, there is no water. But he knew that if Allah caused a spring to gush forth, then obviously He can give much more. And if Allah wants us to do this, then He is the provider and He can fulfill our needs. So the lesson that we learn over here is that we need to set high goals when it comes to working for the deen. Do not depend on yourself. Do not depend on logistics. Do not depend on your finances. Because you are not the provider. You're only a worker. You're only someone who is working. So continue your work, have a high goal, have a high vision, and Allah will fulfill your work for you. Because Allah is the provider, you're not the provider. And another thing that we see over here, that Ibrahim a.s., when he prays for fruit for his children, what does he say? لَعَلَّهُمْ يَشْكُرُونَ, so that they are grateful. Why does he say that? Because you see, there are many blessings which we have, but we take them for granted. Like for example, the sun and the moon, the night and the day, the air that we breathe. We know they are blessings, but we never think about them. We take them all for granted. But if we are given a blessing that is unusual, that is unique, that we didn't have before, and all of a sudden we have it, or we desperately want it, then what happens? Then what happens? Immediately we feel grateful. Generally we become very used to blessings. We take them for granted. But when there is something different, when there is something special, then what happens? We feel gratitude. We feel very grateful. So Ibrahim a.s. prays that keep giving them blessings, especially fruits, because they're unusual for them, so that they remain grateful. Because when a person is grateful, then he becomes positive. We see that Ibrahim a.s. is making the dua, and many times we refrain from making certain du'as because we think that it's impossible. It cannot happen. The doctor told me this is not possible. Or the finances, the spreadsheet, the accountant, he says it's not possible. But the fact is that anything is possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything. You become committed, you become sincere, you put your best, and Allah will complete your work for you. Allah will fulfill that for you. And we see how Ibrahim a.s. dua was granted.